basically, two lines I want to tell what Krishna and me were discussing. Data is a new gold. Data management is the biggest challenge. Keeping that in mind, we have three challenges in the fraud deterrence today: the ethical dimensions, and of course, emerging trends and technologies, and awareness and continuous training. The last one is the most important because, like somebody told me a couple of days back, yesterday you got the PCR test done, you are COVID negative. That doesn't mean that today you are COVID negative. You could have contracted, yesterday you are healthy. That doesn't mean that you are healthy today. So every day you have to test yourself for the COVID now. So in the fraud deterrence and continuous learning also to become aware. So I request my panelists 2 rounds of questioning, each depending on their specialization and all that. For Mr. Dubey, examples of ethical dimensions in the first round, and Mr. Ganeshan, emerging technology frauds, technologies, case studies, whatever it is. And as far as Mr. Krishna Shastri is concerned, in the so-called fraud triangle, we always concentrate on the opportunity to the fraudster, whereas we are conveniently neglecting the role of the victim in providing the opportunity to the fraudster. Okay, what procedural measures and practices are required to enable the victim to be better rather than controlling the fraudster? And last one, of course, my colleague Mr. Sharma, how to create awareness and for the in the organizations and the structures also. So with this, I set the tone. I request Mr. Amit Dubey to start. Yeah, examples of ethical dimensions. Yes.
Hello. Thank you so much, first of all, for making me part of this elegant panel. I asked a very basic question when I think
Sharath Kumar.
Sir was speaking, IPS sir. He was Alok Prabhakar ji was speaking. Yeah, I asked the question that because most of these fraud those are happening today, that happens because of trust. Whatever I have been investigating, because we trust somebody at some level, and that's why we are cheated. And then it comes on ethics. So if we become too much smart, sometimes this too much smartness intended to become unethical, because then we are distrusting someone. So this is a very catch-22 situation in any company. Why I'm saying so? Because it is so easy to become, as we say, practical, but it is very difficult to become empathetic. Because the person who is suffering that, he would have done that mistake because of some of their personal problems. So especially for banking frauds, especially for financial issues that we see. I always countered this with this argument that I don't believe in passwords or OTPs, because we always say, oh, you would have shared the OTP, that's why you have lost this money, because you have shared the password, that's why you have lost this money. I said, you should have developed a system where we don't need any password or any OTP. This is your responsibility. You can't put through this responsibility on victims and expecting them to be smarter all the time, because as Sharath sir has already mentioned, that we are challenged every day. Today we are doing this mistake, tomorrow we'll do another mistake. And you can't expect our customers, victims, to keep upgrade themselves every time. So I think technology is required to achieve that factor, that we could identify a person without OTP or password. There should be a technology where we can identify anybody precisely without any mistake. Whenever he is online, we should be able to recognize him, and that is possible. That is possible with current technology, I think, and all of the panelists will agree on this. But it requires lots of investment, it requires lots of restructuring. I think that is the reason. So as far as ethics are concerned, I think once we'll have that level of technology in every section, this question will be subdued already. Because ethics, sometimes we take as an excuse to frame somebody that, yeah, he would have done mistake because he's unethical. But not every time this is true. Not every time this is true. I've been investigating many cases where people are framed in the organizations, and they would have done this because of ignorance, because of some other reason, and because of the technical ignorance, for sure. And nowadays there are technologies available where we can spoof MAC, we can spoof IPs, we can spoof device IDs, everything. And then the person suffers, and then they don't have any way to prove themselves clear. And I think that is something which is not a matter of ethics or unethics. This is something which we need to solve technically. So,
Quickly said.
Yeah, thank you.
The very new thing I learned today is ethics is certainly not an excuse. It is a new concept to me also. I'll start thinking and deliberating on that. Now I request Mr. Ganeshan to talk about emerging technologies vis-a-vis the fraud prevention.
Thank you, sir. So emerging technologies is something like we cannot avoid it. It is part of the life now, right? So the digital transformation which is driving the world, right, crazy, like every company says that we are going digital, we are doing a big time digital transformation. So all these emerging technologies help them for digital transformation. So there are a lot of emerging technologies, but I just want to touch upon the four top ones which are driving daily, right? So the first one is AI, artificial intelligence. So there are a lot of products and solutions which we are using in our daily life, like whether you interact with social media or whether you interact with your smart devices in your home. So AI is always driving. Alexa's in your home or your smartwatches. So there is everywhere AI, right? So which is kind of unavoidable, right? That is one kind of an emerging technology. And again, it has got a lot of problems also, right? Like whether it has been designed properly, whether it is trustworthy, whether it follows the ethical principles. So all these dimensions are put together. The next one is about robotics and RPA, the second emerging tech which I want to touch upon. This robotics, again, it has been used in industries, extensively in manufacturing industries. And of course, even in information technology, you've got a lot of bots, chat bots, which replaces the repeatable human processes. Again, some of the processes are very critical. If there is a mistake, even it can impact the financial reporting of an organization also. So again, developing bots is also a kind of a skill. So we say that, okay, we develop bots to cut the man hours, improve efficiency. But again, at the cost of what? And do we do a proper risk assessment for it? So that's a kind of a big dimensional question. Third thing is on the IoT, right? So we have IoT devices everywhere. We wear it also. And these IoT devices collect so much of data, right? And what is the dimension of confidentiality? What is the dimension of integrity of the data? And IoT devices nowadays are used more in the medical fields, right? We have seen some of the hacks, like 15 years back, we saw one hack where in a pacemaker it went wrong, or the insulin consumption was wrongly kind of hacked and dead. So IoT is also kind of a big threat. And the fifth angle, what I want to bring in, is around the data analytics and cloud computing. So cloud, almost, I think most of us are in cloud, right? And what kind of data is there, where it is stored, and who maintains the integrity of it? So it's a big question. And again, nowadays, data analytics, you have so much of tools, big data and other things coming up. Companies are analyzing large volumes of data. Are they allowed to analyze? What are the privacy impact? I think Navi sir today morning spoke a great thing on the privacy dimension, right? So there are multiple challenges in the emerging tech. And again, the way the digital transformation is driving the world, people are in a hurry to adopt this emerging tech, yeah, which is a good thing. But again, are we having the ethical principles and the risk? Did we really understand the risk before building a product or a solution? Or if we are buying a product or a solution as an organization, are we thinking about the risk dimension, the ethical dimension, and what it can pose to the consumers or the customers or the employees? So this is the first part I want to kind of bring down on the emerging techs like RPA, data analytics, artificial intelligence, which can definitely pose a kind of a threat. And yeah, it can definitely impact the angle if it has not been developed ethically, or if it has not been developed with the right set of process and IT controls, it can definitely have an impact. Yeah, thanks.
Now, I request Shri Krishna Shastri about the famous so-called fraud triangle and the victim's perspective. Yes, often we neglect it most. We see only from the fraudster's perspective. We think that fraudster is more intelligent than we are and learn from them and all that. From the perspective of victim, it is a new dimension. Whether it is his session, I'm eager to hear you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. And I would like to thank the Hyderabad ACFP for giving this opportunity. If you look at the victim side, remember, victims are giving the opportunity. That was the main reason why today a lot of frauds are happening. Because in the fraud triangle, people think about the opportunity the fraudster is having. No, the answer for this is organizations are giving a lot of opportunity. That's very easy encashing it. Please remember this point. That's the reason why I said that always, if you say that fraud has happened, victim has done it, how the fraud has happened, it is something called reactive. The whole world is moving from reactive to proactive to predictive. I don't want to wait till something to get happened, then I do some investigations, right? Let me see 3 points. I'm not going to discuss the whole case study. Tidbits I will tell you, because many of the bankers are available here. Have you ever thought in your lifetime as a banker, the core banking solutions got compromised? Maybe you can never even think of. In the last 6 months, 8 banks' core banking servers got compromised. Second, have you ever thought you can log in into internet banking of a bank by giving your username and password and changing the password of the other customer? Is it possible? The answer is yes. Please remember that. It means I logged into that bank with my username and password. I changed the password of Mr. Sharma. You can't even think of even telling you this is available, and this is available for 8 months. Third point, I want to make a card transaction. I went to that particular bank, remember card. I gave my username and password. I waited for OTP to come. I entered the OTP. But somebody by mistake entered the OTP wrong. Still, the transaction got approved. It means OTP's function is not at all working. And it was there for approximately 7 months. So sometimes you yourself make an attempt. If it works well and good, please understand this point. We look for that, remember whether the signal is coming, go to the balcony, if the proper signal is coming or not, then you will see that and you will enter it. You can't even think of remember this. That's where I'm telling you here the 2 points. Who are the, remember the victims from the perspective is, let me discuss this under 2 categories. One is for the organizations. The second is from the individual's point of view. From the organization's perspective, first thing I'm going to see it. Many digital products and all that are coming are getting rolled out in the market were rolled out without proper testing. The second, if you say the word testing as a banker or something, you'll think about only something called stress testing. But what is the most important is the functional testing has never been performed with the use case studies. If you give to a security person, go for a testing, he is going to look at the top 10 attacks. If you agree for it, you run a, remember a tool, etc. Based on that, they will identify it. But the most important is the functional testing with the proper use case studies. Why this is not happening is very simple. If you hire a security person will test it from the hacking perspective, but not from the banking domain knowledge. The expertise, remember, Mr. Sharma is having the banking domain knowledge, I will not have it. Please understand this point. That's where rolling out of the products, digital products into the market without proper testing is one of the most important problems we are facing today. That's where fraudsters you are giving an opportunity. Starting from, remember, the UPA scam with respect to link to that of Bank of Maharashtra, where 27 crores has been looted in hours from villages in Maharashtra. Look at it. The reason why that product was rolled out, because Prime Minister wants to inaugurate the product, that was the reason why they rolled out without proper testing. So the most important thing that is missing is this point. Second, that's where several times we told any cyber product or any digital product you are going to roll it out, the most important is secure development life cycle has to be followed, and security should be made as an important component of the design phase itself. So secure by design, secure development life cycle is the most important. Second thing, I have seen it in banks, especially because not only banks, everywhere the same problem. The product that is developed today, tomorrow they want to add certain features. After addition of the new features, they will never test it. In that process, earlier features will gone away. That's where I said this bank where enter any OTP, the credit card transactions, you can make it. And it was there for 8 months, you will not believe it. Second point, you can see what people talked about, something called a Jamtara batch and all that. You might have heard about the Jamtara batch and etc. Today, to what level they are able to come up, you are not even aware. On a payment gateway of a bank, per minute, 1 lakh of hits came with different names. What they did it? They know the IP address of the payment gateway. They kept 30 servers in the entire country. Sastry 1965 is my remember username. So they have written a program. Sastry 1950, 51, 52, 53, like that, it will go on testing up to Sastry 2003. Wherever it is going to get successful, then the password is going to enter there. Today, I can say that probably I was listening, remember his lecture via online. Yes, am I being pawned as a one website has seen it. But for your information, more than 70 lakhs Indian customers' card, username and passwords are available with the fraudsters. But luckily, they are not available in Excel sheet. Whose username is whose password, they have no idea. They got a dump of username, they got a dump of passwords. That's where that one dump they kept it at one server, one dump they kept it on, remember, another server of passwords. It is making and hits, etc. And bank is not going to verify, remember, the login name which is not available. Only verify, remember, which is available, only they will hit it. There, if you give a wrong password, then it will get logged. If Sastry 62 is not available, it is not going to get verified. Please understand this point. That's where they are able to loot the banks in the last 6 months, something around 28 crores of rupees. Second thing, if you look at is the supply chain attacks, the biggest problem. From yesterday afternoon, 1 o'clock onwards, 98% of the enterprises in the world don't have any sleep. I don't know how many of you are aware about it. Just because of one vulnerability that is available in the Java program they identified, CVE 44228 number. Today, the whole world is shivering from yesterday afternoon, 1 o'clock. Today, the supply chain attacks have become because a lot of third-party products are using it. You might have heard about every ransomware attack recently, right? Almost 98% of the cases of the ransomware attacks, the simple reason why it has happened is the Microsoft Exchange vulnerability that has happened from the 2021 January onwards. Because the more prominent softwares you are using your company, more there is a possibility of the attack can happen. It also one lesson you can understand it. So simply depending on the third-party products without understanding how it is one of the biggest problems. Third, we are finding it is, remember, the relay on your technology, right? You are relying more on technology. I've seen, for example, the FRM solutions. Several banks have implemented. Some vendor will come and keep it like a turnkey solution will go off. And after some time, the fraud will happen. If frauds are not happening, I don't get my bread and butter. You know, every day morning, we'll get up and pray that God, today major cyber attack should happen. Because the more attacks will happen, more I can get my business and all that. So why these FRM solutions are not working is because all are something called the rule-based. But the most important is rules can never be constant. Rules should be dynamic in nature. Every fraud that has happened, you have to understand the modus operandi based on that rule should be changed frequently. But how many of this country are really changing their FRM solutions? The alerts will get generated. Why this is not happening is one reason. You want to generate a very good rule, you require a good case logs. How many fraudsters, remember, you can take it as a fraud investigator. You come forward and create a databases of the frauds that has happened. Based on the databases of the fraud, if you can identify the modus operandi, based on that, if you generate an alert, then a perfect rule base will work and AI and ML is going to work. Today, people say that, Sastry, do you want to purchase a water bottle? I say, how this water bottle is different from Bisleri? I say, sir, this water was filtered with AI and ML, you can sell it. Because AI and ML has become a jargon word today. But please understand it. Unless you will not develop that loss and unless you will not develop that models, no FRM solution is going to work at all. Please remember this point. I've seen crores and crores of rupees has been created. That's where the FRM solutions are not working. So last but not the least is, in many organizations, if you want to stop a fraud, maybe from the attacker outside or maybe internally, something called system of least privileges. The system of least privilege has not been implemented in many places. Where identity and access management and privilege identity management solutions have to be implemented. If we implement this type of technologies to a great extent, organizations can get secure. But what about at the individual level? Morning, I don't know whether my friend has discussed about something called OLX fraud or something called Paytm fraud. Okay, just photograph, remember, keep a photograph or mobile phone for 5,000 rupees in OLX, somebody will contact you. I'm saying that I'm interested to purchase, this is my identity card, mostly you will send the army officer's identity card. Do you know how much is the fraud that is involved in only Paytm fraud and OLX fraud in this country? You know, Paytm fraud is I will get an SMS saying that your Paytm will get suspended tomorrow unless you will update our KYC. I don't have any book to give you as a gift like my friend has done in the morning. But can anybody can guess it how much amount of money the Indian customers are losing just because of these two frauds, which will never get reflected in any of the frauds given by the Reserve Bank of India, because it is between us. It's not the RBI money which bank has lost it. For information, 2,800 crores per annum. Please remember this point. And it is not just the Jamtara batch that is involved here. It is not Bharatpur, not Indore. Now they moved to the entire country, starting from Asansol, somewhere, remember, in the West Bengal and Assam borders onwards, deep south, they are currently available there. So that's where, remember, the most important at the individual level is providing, remember, a proper awareness is the most important, that is currently missing. So organizations and the customers are losing because these two are the victims who have no idea about what it is. How many customers in the country knows what is the actual mobile application of a bank which can be downloaded from the Google Play Store? They have no idea about it. That's where we are giving a lot of opportunity for the fraudsters. They are making good money out of us. I think you might have seen 6 months back or 7 months back, there is a message that has circulated via WhatsApp, the Jamtara batch category. One boy has said that he's 18 years old. In the last 1 year, he made almost 7 crores of rupees. And his next target in the next 2 years is to make 100 crores because of this. Yes, he can make 100 crores, 1,000 crores or 2,000 crores because you are innocent, you have no idea about it. If you give the opportunity, I will also make a fraud, remember this point. That's where organizations and the individuals should know how the frauds are happening. That's where you can stop it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Great perspective from a fresh dimension that we always neglect to look at the vulnerabilities we offer. We want to play the victim card telling that I am victimized without realizing that we are providing the good opportunities. Excellent perspective, number one. And the third party products are very vulnerable. I have a practical example of many companies. Many a time when we suggest to companies to put the TTT, including the financial institutions, Tiger Trail test, get somebody to hack into your systems, they say they'll immediately produce the say, IS audit, this audit, that audit. And as he rightly said, they'll only tell the top 10 vulnerabilities and all that. Vulnerability is a vulnerability, whether it is top or bottom, how does it matter, sir? It doesn't matter. Parikshit Maharaj, he died with the smallest worm brought into the palace through a fruit, invisible. Am I right? So vulnerability is, there is no top or bottom. Vulnerability, I appreciate your point, sir. Two perspectives you gave me. And the Krishna Shastri, being a religious man like me, he reinforced my faith in God. I also pray every day, God, that my money should be in the bank, should be safe, not by virtue of their efficiency, by virtue of God's grace. Very great. Thank you. So I request now my colleague, Sri Sharma Garu, how to create awareness and consciousness in the organizations for the deterrence of the fraud.
Good evening, friends. After 3 great speakers, I don't know what awareness I'm going to create here, because already they talked about awareness, but still I'll try my level best to put forth my points. The first line of defense for any awareness program is human being. That means this COVID-19 has come, right? Nobody knows how that disease comes. Even WHO doesn't know how it enters a body. Somebody was telling it comes through metal, somebody was telling it comes through droplets, somebody is telling it is coming through. We don't know where it is, how it is coming. You don't believe, in June 2020, my whole family has got affected with COVID-19. GHMC, they came, they put all ribbons to my house, everybody, they were totally segregated as outside. Because of awareness, we don't know what is happening. Because nobody knows about this. We are talking about technology, very good. But what about human being? What about our life? What is that we learned from this pandemic? And still, we do not know what is the Omicron is now coming. And they are telling people you have to go for the vaccinations. Right? So, because of that COVID-19, at least hundreds of sites of people, they generated a lot of the websites at the time. People were fooled. And I was told by some of colleagues in Bihar, they're issuing vaccination certificates free. Yes, because in Bihar and all, you know that in 1990, while I was working in Kanpur, there I wanted a certificate. Then somebody was telling me, sir, if you pay 50 rupees, you'll get even your death certificate. So, so that is the level. So now coming to the awareness. So what to do in these situations? That means a role-based training. That means who has to do what? That people should understand. Then what should not be done? Just now Sastry sir was telling about the frauds. We know what to do, but what should not be done, that is very important here as far as awareness is concerned. Recently, I've got a house at near Gadkesar. I think already has told Sastry sir also everybody. I got a call from somebody because I want to give for rent. And I published it in 99 acres. And I got a call from somebody that I wanted to have your house. I'm working in army and I'm posted to airport, international airport. My family will come and stay. I told boss, it is 50 kilometers away from there. So it's not, I don't want to give my house to you. Don't worry, sir. Hamara rule alag hai. Don't worry. And you please, what is the advance? I said, 10,000 rupees. 2 months in advance, I will give it, sir. Don't worry. I'll pay it, sir. And my army people will pay. Immediately, I told boss, you have to send your identification. He has sent me Aadhaar card. He has sent me his military photo. He has sent me his PAN card, everything. When you look at that, everything is fine for me with his name. I got it. I thought, okay, it's okay. I'm getting somebody, a good tenant. Then he said that tomorrow my team will telephone you because army, they have to pay advance from my company. They'll pay, you have to pay them. You will get money. I said, okay. I just kept quiet because I myself am an ex-serviceman. I know what is what. That fellow, yesterday morning, I got a call from somebody and he said that, sir, you are giving that house to him and we are ready to take and we want to pay that amount. I'm sending you one QR code for 1 rupee. We just click that, you will get the amount. I thought, okay. I said, boss, another 20 days are there for me. I'll give you later. Immediately what I have done, I told my son, where other applications are not there, just see from where that the QR code is coming. I've seen it is coming from a Vishal agencies of Dehradun. When I verified the photos, there, that fellow, it is there from MI camera. He has done all the photos and he has morphed the numbers, his face, everything. Because we have got some awareness, I was not actually trapped into that. So that awareness is very, very important for a common people, that too in rural and the senior citizens, they are being affected by these people. When I have telephoned to some cyber security police friend here, I said, I want to complain. He said, what complaint you want to do? I said, like this happened. Don't worry, hundreds are happening. Hundreds are already in the jail. That too. Yes. And he says that, and every year, that fellow, when I talked to one of the persons there I got, he said they are at least earning 5 crores per annum, these people. Everybody is having at least 60 to 70 mobiles with all so many SIM cards, and they purchase locally from people. They'll take the 5,000 rupees, they'll pay and take a SIM card and keep it with him. Simply, some doubt comes, they'll throw it off. So how to get this awareness for everybody? Because everybody nowadays, what happened? The ATM transactions have come down now because of pandemic. You would have seen that. Because now we are all very safe. We want to go for gym. But that to this Gen Z, I can say. This is not really like Gen Z now. They wanted to go everything online. Amazon, everything online nowadays. Google Pay, UPI. So now that has become more. And the attacks, what were there, these type of payment, 58,000 was there at 58,000 were there attacks in 2007. Now it has become 11 lakhs because of this. Because people are being attacked left and right every day, but we do not know what is happening. Nowadays, suddenly you get a call, Google Pay, you get a call, sir, by mistake, I have credited your account some 1,000 rupees. You see that, yes, there's a credit to my account. Can you please send back to me that amount? It's not mine. I wrongly have credited. When you send back, your 1 lakh of your account is being taken out. So awareness is very, very important for a common man in this country. That is where we are missing now. And as far as organizations are concerned, and for these things, you should have always a social media awareness camps are very much important. Because that is very much important, because the ill effects of this technology. Why I'm talking about this, you know the latest emerging trends when Ganesh is talking about. We are talking about Internet of Things, but now Internet of Behavior is coming now. Where you are purchasing, your competitors, your opportunity, everything is coming through AI. I don't know how that awareness, how you are going to protect yourself. Digital twins already they have come, because of which it is very much important for the healthcare industry if digital twins come. Same way, cybersecurity mesh, it has come. So what is that awareness? Where we have to start? I know that I'm a brick and mortar person from a long time. In 1989, I came into technology, where I still believe in confidentiality, integrity, and availability. CIA triangle. We always talk about that. But how much it will help? Where are we? So that is very, very important for us for awareness. So as people are telling that you should definitely conduct cyber security, cyber safety weeks for public and private through NASCOM or DSCI or banks, because banks are being, that is financial institutions where they're being affected more. And finally, just to heard about this whistleblowing area, where actually you have to reward those people who are giving that whistleblowing information to you. Rewards are not there. If somebody is informing you about a phishing attack, you should, organization should tell, okay, I'm going to give you $100. That is not happening. That has to be introduced. Then only the awareness will come into this picture. Right, sir?
Thank you. Sharma, again, human dimension is the most important and most vulnerable and strongest also, depending on how we train them. Thank you very much. This new perspective. In the second round, I start with Sri Amit Dubey. Key learning from fraud cases, live cases, sir. Can you elaborate?
So first of all, thank you so much, sir. I think you have given very real examples, and I'm just sharing my learnings with the same sharing. We do lots of awareness sessions and create videos, and we share it across various platforms. And I'm sharing you the light example with the person who is head of an IT organization. He was cheated. He was in my society. And I created a video. So OLX fraud, I was mentioning in the morning that they used to send a link that we are sending you 20,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees. So you make up in your mind that, okay, I'm receiving 20,000 rupees. Then there's a link. You click it and the money will go from your account. So we created a video where we sent a link to this guy and his money reached to his account that ways. And we circulated it across social media platform, all societies, all friends. Just after 1 week, I got a call from the same society friend and he said, Amit, I lost 30,000. I said, how come? OLX fraud. I said, OLX fraud. But I created a video, I shared it with you. Yeah, I saw that video. Then, yeah, you mentioned that they'll send the link and I should not click on that link. Then what? They sent a QR code. The point is, it is a continuous process. I said, QR code is also a link. So unless until we are doing it on a continuous basis, any awareness will not be sufficient because people are changing the modus operandi and the way of working. So this was one thing which I wanted to share, and it was really good that you mentioned that point. Second, security cannot be achieved in an isolated way. We always think that, okay, our system is secure because we have all network security systems, endpoint security systems, server security systems, all firewall, IPS, IDS, everything is maintained. Very good. Actually, security is a mutual responsibility. So if I'm not secure, you are also not secure. And if you are not secure, I'm also not secure. We need to understand it in a simple way. I'll give you an example. And they said, okay, we have everything secure and nobody can do anything. Not even a single sensitive document can go out, and we do regular cyber awareness sessions. Everything is perfect. You don't have any business to do here. It's like this. I said, okay, give me a week and let me see if I can do something. So I took that challenge. And what did I find? I found a news item that this bank has engaged a law firm recently, and that law firm is providing them some service. So I did not focus on the bank, I focused on the law firm. And the law firm's email server was vulnerable. So I could easily get into it because they thought we are the law firm who will attack on a law firm. And I could send an email from law firm's email server to bank CEO, and I asked them to submit some documents, sensitive documents. And he quickly responded. So the point is, bank was secure. Bank thinks that, okay, we are secure from every angle. But then the people, those are third party, the service provider, those are in your network. They are not secure. Their components are not secure. And anybody can do impersonation. Then how will you differentiate? The mail is coming from authentic server. It's not coming, and it's not a spoof email. So we need to understand this as well, that it is a mutual responsibility. So I learned these all things from criminals, that they don't focus you. They don't focus, they focus the weakest link. If they want to hack you, they will focus on your kid or your wife or your parents. Those are vulnerable. So you may be aware, you have attended so many cyber awareness sessions, but then it is actually mutual. So this is something which is the biggest learning, I guess, and I may move to the other panelists now.
While I hand over to Shri Ganesh Ramani for the industrial standards frameworks and to avoid and monitor the frauds, I concur with Amit ji. In one of the cases, Bombay, by virtue, not by the size, by virtue of the film personality involved, that fellow was taking care to switch off his phone where he is going and all that. But his driver's phone with location is continuously on. The police we took his phone. It proves to be treasure trove of information to prove that where this man was present at a particular point of time. The owner of the phone has taken care to switch it off. The driver's phone is the most vulnerable person is the surrounding people. Your child, your cook, your wife, your driver and all that. I fully concur, sir. It was used practically. Latest. Yeah, I request Mr. Ganeshan too.
Yeah. In terms of these emerging technologies, right? Some of the pointers where it can be kind of the base can be built securely. So a couple of things what Shastri sir said, I want to reiterate, right? The testing is still a kind of a big missing piece in the puzzle, right? Even in the existing technology. So Shastri sir was talking about the basic internet banking, right? So it should have been tested. There is a testing team. They do regression testing. They claim a lot, but there is a big gap. So testing is very important. And second thing, testing by a domain expert. So right now we have got all this Gen X, Gen Y guys who just come out of the engineering college, get into a fancy job. And do they know what is insurance? They might know what not is insurance. Do they know what is trading and finance and banking? They might not know, but they'll be put into a team to test a trading and finance application. So that's the irony now. So we have to educate them on the domain, the business knowledge and everything. And we need to have experienced people in the industry to test those kind of solutions. So that is point number one. Second thing, when you use technologies like AI, nowadays, I think a lot of government agencies have also come up with the framework. So in the last ACFE conference, I had an opportunity to present a AI framework proposed by European Union. So they proposed something called a trustworthy AI framework. So what is a component of trustworthy AI framework and how to build it? It's like they are bringing in 3 dimensions. Okay, one dimension is around the engineering and the technology, what you use. The second dimension is the science, how it operates. The third dimension is the humanity, right? And the developers and testers, what we have in the current world, they come either from only from the engineering background. Sciences, maybe not. And humanity, there is no humanity taught, just basically to the engineers. That's the way how the curriculum is also been built. So, but again, they have to have these principles, because whatever products and solutions they are designing has to fit. Because if an AI solution is kind of not having the humanity dimension, it can lead to an accident or it can harm an individual, right? So that is one thing. So when from a fraud angle or from an ethics angle, when you want to say that I have an AI product or solution, we have to question whether the ethical or the trustworthy AI framework is being followed. That is one thing. Second thing, in terms of using the data is a new thing, the data analytics I was talking about, right? What kind of data we can collect? What kind of data can be used for what purposes? And every country has got their own regulations. So the regulations are getting stricter. But the problem is the current IT systems, what we have designed, has not been designed with the data privacy framework. So we create an application, we have 10 number of tables, 20 data points, and this application sends all the 20 to other application, whether it is really required, maybe not. And we are using so much of mobile apps. You have, so they call something called APIs, right? Application programming interface. So you get a discount when you order some food in Swiggy. So when what bank collects data from you from Swiggy and what Swiggy collects the data from the bank, do you know about it? No, you might not know. And some of the stricter stringent classes like GDPR and other things, the privacy framework in India is coming up. But again, these things are things to be watched for, right? And RPA, the robotics, right? The other dimension, what I was trying to bring in, are doing the activities, how accurate it is, whether confidentiality, integrity, and availability is maintained, how the bots are being trained. So these are different dimensions when we think about emerging tech. So we have a rush to move towards emerging tech. Obviously, it is good. Again, whenever we are moving in and we're evaluating a product or a solution, please understand that you need to have the product needs to have some IT control framework. Even in traditional IT, still we call about the IT general controls. We say when you are using an IT application, the bare minimum is IT general controls. The IT general controls are like basic controls like change management, access management, patch management. How do you back up and restore data from it? So in majority of the world, whatever we have seen in the world of audit, the basic controls are failing, right? And we're talking about security and things like that. So we should strengthen the control framework. How we can strengthen it is a job of the development team, testing team, the risk management team, the internal auditors. So there are multiple layers of defenses we have built already in the system, and people have to play their role. And again, when we are choosing emerging tech, please understand the risk and controls of the emerging technology. If not, then I think the price is very higher. Again, the reputational risk, what this can bring, right? So for banking. So again, 10 years back, when cloud was just coming up, we said, yeah, cloud will be there for some the core banking to cloud. And do the banks know that where this core banking, the data is being stored, which countries? They say, okay, I'll store you in one country, but the replica might be in some other country. Even regulators are puzzled. Now we are seeing a lot of regulators asking self-compliance questions saying that, okay, where is your data being stored? Who has got access to the data? Do you have a copy in India? So there is a classic case where their license was revoked because of not storing the data with India. They said you cannot issue new cards hereafter unless watch out in emerging tech is, okay, we can be in a hurry to go there, but please do a proper risk assessment. Please have a strong testing team. Please ensure that you test it from all the dimension, including the customer dimension and things like that, and try to sustain all the IT and process control. So sustenance is very important, right? And having an ethical dimension and sustenance of this control will be definitely a greater degree. You can potentially avoid frauds. Of course, you can't 100% avoid, but it will be a deterrent control and people will think in that angle, and the frauds can be reduced. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Really, it is a fresh perspective. Two things to sum up what he said is the awareness of what, where, how things are happening to your own assets. We are not aware. We are trusting some other agency. Cloud, bank is putting in the cloud. They are thinking it is in the cloud. It is in the safe, this thing. Where is the replica? Where is the copy? It may be next door to you. It is in a foreign country, control and all that. We are not even aware. Very scary scenario. But as Krish Shastri rightly said, we have to pray God and hope all is well. And if my co-panelists permit, he has a flight to catch. And we have extracted in the language of Srinivas what we have to extract from him. And we'll honor him and see him off.
Thank you.
See him. My next question to my good old friend Sri Krishna Shastri Garu. You will be, you are aware, I feel, he is a part of standing committee of Reserve Bank of India on cyber security. Okay, what measures, Krishna Shastri Garu, banking and other sectors should adopt from the regulatory perspective, and what recommendations you have given which can be shared in the public domain? I request you to speak on that.
So I'm a part of Reserve Bank of India's cyber securities for the last 8 years. In fact, my hand is there almost on the cyber security framework of 2016 that has been rolled out by RBI. From there, the advisories that are coming up from time to time, and the latest one, if you look at, is the 2021. I hope you might have seen master directions in the digital payment security controls. The RBI is, I'm not speaking from the RBI perspective, I'm speaking like a Mr. Shastri. Please remember, it's more like a knowledge, right? I cannot speak from the regulatory perspective. But exactly. So point number one, if you look at is, I don't know how many of you got a chance to look at the master directions on the digital payment security controls 2021, available in the public domain, and it has come on February 18th. And banks were mandated to comply for that by August 18th. So 6 months time has been provided for them. And that is where a lot of opportunity was also there for the ACFE. I think, I don't know how many of you people have really uncashed it and how many people have made a business out of that also. The first and the foremost they are given is, every digital payment product the banks are rolling out, starting from mobile banking, call it as anything you take it granted. It has to be, remember, comply for 3 things. One is the functionality. The second most important is the security, and third is the performance. Why the reason performance? You might have read about it. The HDFC issue that has happened there, it is where, HDFC was asked not to issue further cards, etc., because the system performance have come down. But please go through that. Very stringent rules has been implemented. First and foremost is, any digital product that has been rolled out by the bank, today everything is based on something risk. Throughout your life, the morning you got up in the life, remember the word that is going to knock is nothing but the risk. Remember that point. So first and foremost, they said, earlier our risk is consist of only operational risk, technology risk, and regulatory risk, compliance risk, etc. But for in addition to that above risk, every digital product that is rolled out by the bank, there should be something called fraud risk. So fraud risk has to be performed. For example, the bank is coming out with a mobile solution. In addition to that, whatever is other risk, is anybody has assessed something called the fraud risk on that or not? To what extent the fraud can happen and all. Second is, perhaps is the first time, if you mention these are the frauds that can happen is not sufficient. Quantification of that fraud risk is also important. So every digital product the banks are rolled out, they have to do something called the fraud risk assessment, including the quantification of the fraud. That is most important. Second most important, if you look at it, is every bank should have a fraud risk management solution should be in place. It has to be tested. Analytics has to be conducted, and the rules have to be made as a part of that. I don't know how many of you read that particular whole document. Please read it, how beautifully it is mentioned. So banks should have something called even a fraud framework, which currently missing for the banks. And banks should also have a very good fraud redressal mechanism. So if any customer made a complaint, do you have a proper redressal mechanism as a part of that? That is a requirement. Please go through that. You can see that there is a very good opportunity. A lot of banks are really looking for it in these areas. Currently, it was not matured to a great extent. And morning, there is a lot of questions. Remember, I have seen it during Mr. Navi's session. If you read that document, they mentioned very clearly, any third-party applications, the banks are using it. Banks are supposed to take a sign-off from the third party. That application is free from the known vulnerabilities, backdoor or malicious entry points. It means if I'm using a Finacle software from some member as a part of my core banking, the bank have a right to take it from them. It does not have any component where a fraud can be committed. Please understand. How many people have taken this type of certificate when you're running a regulated entity, because it's all coming into the Reserve Bank? That's properly called REs. All REs you're supposed to take it. The answer for this is no, I can say it. And the most important is, remember, the storage of the data, a lot of discussions has happened. Please remember, today, RBI, etc., we know very well about it. They will never interfere in the day-to-day solution of the banks. Whether a bank or organization to go for a cloud or not to go for a cloud, remember, it is their business decision. Please understand this point. It is not the regulator can never say it. As far as, remember, RBI place is concerned, if you read the regulations about the data storage, only one point. Except the entire payment string of a transaction, if they want, they can store any data on any part of the earth. It is a bank's responsibility. It means if I transfer 100 rupees from my account to Mr. Remember Amit Dubey, who is sitting in California, the time, hours, minutes, seconds, what account number to what account number, to which account it went, at the entire payment transaction, that string is properly called. Leaving that whole string, please remember, the entire string should be present within India only. If I'm transferring to an American bank, Bank of America can keep that for 24 hours only. Beyond that, they may keep the other part of the string, but not the Indian component of the string. Because AML, etc., maybe that country required to meet it, whether money from where Mr. Amit Dubey has got in California and all that. Please remember that point. So in the whole string, leaving the component of the American part, the remaining part, they're supposed to delete in what? 24 hours. If any time they want to take it more than 24 hours, they should take the approval from RBI to take it out. It means they should take the approval as I'm going to store for more than what? 24 hours. Leaving that, data can be stored at any part of the earth, including Nigeria. Please understand this point. That's the one point. Second is, there's a lot of dispute. You know, we got it, the bill is coming into picture and all that, secondary data privacy. Except the 2011, remember the government of India GO that has commit personally identifiable information. We call it sensitive personal identifiable information. That's, if you read the document, if anybody is interested, I'm more than happy to share it. Anybody's data can be stored anywhere because they are given under 8 clauses. Today, what is the only one is the Aadhaar card data, according to Aadhaar card, remember, only Act, it should not be stored anywhere. Leaving that, my date of birth can be stored anywhere, any data can be stored. The 8 clauses which come under sensitive personal identification, one is something called as medical records. But you open a Swati magazine or you open Andhra Bhumi magazines, etc. So on the last cover page, or if you take any bus that is going, you might have seen so-and-so Ayurveda, remember, you know, Ayurveda, some medicines are available. A lady photograph with a knee, I applied this oil, I'm patient number so-and-so, etc. Within 15 days, my knee has become normal. You might have seen it everywhere. But do you think it's a medical record? Based on that, I came to know that lady is having a knee problem. Do you think that hospital has taken that? The answer is what? No. Please understand it. Today, if I go for a pharmacy, they are going to give based on that something called your mobile number and some points will come. I'm more than happy. So after I got 1,000 points, that fellow says, sir, why don't you take this sabun or why don't you take this pressure cooker local made? If you burst, I'm not responsible. I think they're all offering it. You might have seen it. So I'm regularly going and purchasing it. Remember, I came to the same medical shop, which is a China medical shop, is also having something called as diagnostic center. I'm going for 15 days. I'm purchasing regularly glycomit and some type of things. That fellow knows this fellow having this mobile number is a pakka having diabetes. Now I got a message from him, Shastri, diabetic test at home itself, my person will take the blood sample and test it. It means 100% my data related to my medical record has been transferred from there to there. But how many of you will go and while purchasing the medical shop, that medicines, etc., you will sign a document that my data will not be shared with someone else? Please understand it. That's where I differ from the Indian Data Privacy Act. One point, data privacy is also linked to the culture of this country, which is not currently present at all in any of the Indian document. Please understand that is very, very important. You ask any village woman, what is your husband name? She will never say that, sir, as per our customs, etc. She will never tell my husband name completely. You ask a Hyderabadi girl who born and brought up, happily she says that. Do you think in that case, that lady knows more about the data privacy law compared to this lady? So please understand this point is, the regulators, if you look at it, the regulators are going to frame the rules perfectly in a generalized context. And Reserve Bank of India has made an excellent rules. Please, if time permits, you can go through that. They are given very clear about what the bank should have. And they've also given one point very clearly. So the last point I would like to say, bank should have a near real-time fraud detection systems. For every transaction happening, near real-time reconciliation has to be done. Even as on date, after 5 days, 6 days, only the reconciliation is going to happen. Even if somebody has implemented that reconciliation also, every fraud that is happening on Friday evening, by Monday afternoon, Saturday, Sunday being a holiday, Monday they will come to know there is a big amount of 2 crores has gone. So real reconciliation is the one that real-time reconciliation is very, very important. That's where I think the CFE can play a very, very important role, generating the rules and all that. The last point I'm trying to say is, the RBI is in this direction. If you look at it, there's a huge business potential was there. From your angle, I'm talking about the word business potential. From the bank's point of view, just security or compliance, whatever it is. They said very clearly in the entire banking infrastructure, nowhere the full credit card or a debit card number of the customer should be what? Stored. So you require to have very good data discovery tools. So based on the scanning of the whole network, if anywhere you are getting a 16-digit number, you can think of the bank is not properly storing the data that is required as per the regulatory complaints. So please look at the document. That's where the regulators have given a very, very beautiful. Leaving that RBI, nowhere really you are having something called as a very good regulatory mechanism in this country. CERTIN has given certain things, etc., but implementation is one of the toughest tasks. Because we know as long as the headmaster is there in the school, only will stay in the classroom, otherwise will go out. So if the regulator is strong, the implementation is also going to be what? Strong. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, Mr. Garu. Thank you for the insightful thing. As usual, your analytical skills and technical skills, you are capable of putting them succinctly for us non-technical guys to understand also. Fantastic. And I hope you continue to serve the interests of the country through various regulators for times to come and forever also. Now I request my colleague Sri Sharma Garu briefly to harp on how to provide trainings and sustain awareness in the organization.
You would have seen the question what he has told. You must brief.
Yeah.
So briefly, so
I
no
can take liberty
here.
only with my colleague vice president, not with others, isn't it?
Yeah. And actually, I'm sitting with an author of a policy, Reserve Bank of India. Okay, digital security controls policy, where and Amit Dubey, who is a master in this cyber security. Good. Now, what I want to say here, as an information security specialist or an information systems auditor, where already I've visited about 38 countries in the world for audits, and more than 500 to 600 companies I've audited on information security. Before that, I wanted to tell a small announcement, not announcement. I want to ask all my CFE colleagues here to catch hold of Mr. Sastry, who is a RBI standing committee member. Make all the banks mandatory to recruit a CFE. So that like CSAs have become now mandatory in all the banks. Same way, if a CFE also has recruited, I think our community will develop because it will definitely increase. The banks will benefit and the customers will also be benefited. Yes. So the anti-fraud community will definitely develop here. So I request Sastry Garu to help us and see that we are included in the banking industry. Am I right? Okay. Now I'll go into the subject. I am working in controllers data centers as a director quality, where for us, because we are serving 65 banks, their servers are with me. And we are serving top 100, the top 500 Fortune 100 Fortune companies, where 100 companies are my clients. And more than 2,000 clients we are having all over the world. We are managing pin to ship in technology. So for us, the training is mandatory. If training, that is, I have to give a training to my client as well as to my own employee here. If not, my client's data is not protected. So that is the reason when an employee joins in my organization in an induction training that is on information security on each end, because we have more than 16 certifications in ISO, as well as we are into GXP, we are into HIPAA, you name it, because all the clients in the world, they're having their data with us. So all what somebody was talking about, patch management, everywhere we have private cloud, public cloud, we work on all hyperscalers like GCP, AWS, Azure, then OCI, each and every cloud technology we are serving, for which training is very, very important for us. So that mandatory training we give to all our employees and see that the client's data is protected. Why I'm telling that? It is important for us, even in the fraud risk management or frauds, anti-fraud community, we have to bring that awareness in training wherever you meet people. Actually, I want to cover something he has told me, but he himself has told everything about fraud risk management, because he is the author of that policy. So now only left that is about information security training, where we have to induct all the controls, whatever it is there in information security, that we have to bring the awareness among the employees. That is very, very important. And because that security part is over, frauds is over, then the responsibility and liability of employees, that is very, very important. If something goes wrong, what is the responsibility? What type of what type of liabilities our nation is having? Because we are dealing with a lot of, because we have that clients, customers, they had, because some customer, he will not give his some of the functions to me. He will tell, I wanted to manage my internet service provider, I will do it. So I am not responsible, but where the ransomware attack will come through that to him. But I have to take the risk management plays a vital role here. What type of risk the client is having, what type of risk management training to be given to the client, that is again plays a vital role. So training makes that's what I say, that training will take 80% of your organization's actual credibility. That is where we have to maintain those standards in the organization. And we give more and more training on communication, because that is important for us. Now 80% is communication, 20% is only your efficiency. Please understand this. You would have seen your political leaders, only communication. He doesn't have anything. But communication plays a vital role when you're dealing with the clients, what I'm going to speak. And coming to the audits, you should have that experience and exposure as an investigator to audit properly or investigate properly. I've seen when I've gone for an audit in a company, where a pharmaceutical company, I don't want to name it, where R&D, it was there, research and development. They said, here everything is secure, you cannot do anything. I was just seeing what to do. Because that too, each formula in millions, I cannot do anything. Then I ask, do you have a Google? Yes, all scientists are here. They have chemistry only, they have to go into that, and they say, thank you, I said. Then I've given Lady Gaga chemistry. All Lady Gaga pictures have come, where there is a blog also. I think 5K blog or something. From where I have sent a mail to my Gmail, I got it. So please understand, if you have that experience and exposure, definitely will protect the client and as well as your organization, for which this training is very, very important. And now, as Sastry sir was telling me about CDAC, where they're giving training on information security education awareness. If some people, if they want to have the training, they can have it. That's about training, sir.
Very succinctly, now we are open for questions for the three panelists. So one question Radhakrishna is entitled to. Yeah,
Sir, of course, I think part of the
he
question
raised
was
the hand
answered.
first. There is no option for
still-
me.
Sir, I'm listening to Shastri Garu for more than 20 years. But whenever I listen to him, I increase my awareness and take more cautious approach, like changing passwords and whatever blah blah they say, take. But today he has given a new perspective that even if you change your password, even if you don't disclose your OTP, others can steal your money. So others can enter into my bank account, change my password. Then what is the solution? As Sarath sir told, shall I do morning prayer every day and sit quiet? Or is there any other options for me to take care?
Then other than praying,
Other than praying?
No,
Yeah.
once it has identified.
apart from praying.
Once it has identified, some people have become victim. It has come to the knowledge of the bank. It has been tested now. The vulnerability has been closed. It means from the incident we are learning it.
Yes.
My viewpoint is, why can't we move? That's where I said that, because basically I will tell you here it is. Why you should wait till some incident to happen? Somebody should get victimized, based on that, learn the lessons, try to close the bug.
Correct.
No, that's not, I'm expecting it, to be frank. I want, before that itself, it has to be properly tested. Today, is that vulnerability is there? The answer is no. But it was there for quite some time. Some people have identified, luckily when the fraudster is identified, he did a mistake also. He should not have taken out the money for so much. Had he done like a slicing every day 100 rupees, it could not have never been detected, to be frank. Yeah, because he don't know how long this vulnerability is going to be available. That's why he want to make his money. See, it's a cat and mouse game, right? So when he has taken out, remember, 1.8, 2 crores like that, every day reconciliation differences are coming, then there is something wrong with it. That's where the thing has really happened. So my viewpoint is very simple. It is the basic strategy which organizations are adopting earlier is different, and today what they should adopt is different. Earlier we are adopting something called protect. Then if something happens, detect, then go for response. It no longer works. Why it no longer works? Similar to what you can think of, remember, the swine flu advertisement. I don't know how many have seen the advertisement. 2009, when swine flu came and hit us, the advertisement will be like this. Wash your hands. Don't touch the person having fever. This is the advertisement. I don't know how many have seen in the newspapers. If you want to see the difference. 2013, the advertisement is quite different. What that advertisement is, if you are running nose, having high temperature, rashes on the body, immediately contact the doctor and take the medicine. Tell me anybody, what is the difference between these two?
Preventive.
The two advertisements, very simple. When the first advertisement was given,
Preventive.
still remember that is what they are giving is protect. Don't touch the person, etc. If still some fever comes, detect it, go to the doctor and take the medicine. They realize that even if you do all this, still swine flu is spreading. It means protect, detect, respond won't work at all. Now the next is they are given the characteristics. Based on the detect first, then go for immediately take the medicine so that others will not get what impacted. That's a protect, detect, respond has to convert into detect, respond and go for what? Protection.
So priorities change.
Exactly. Now before detection, the word has come is called nothing but prediction itself. That's where our FRM solutions, everything is coming based on this technique only. Today, what is our FRM solutions? Think about alert generation. Means the anomaly, it comes, immediately detect it. Then you take the response, then go for our what? Protection. So any fraud solutions that are really coming up as already existing in the market, they have to follow only for this technique. Predict based on anomaly or some other rules or AI or ML capabilities. Then based on the prediction, think about, remember, if something is happening, detect it, then go for response. Then based on that, close the bug and go for our what? Protection. But you got victimized. If you say that, no, I don't want to reveal to anybody because my reputation damaged, the same thing can happen also to me. That's where I'm telling you, all the cases that has happened, if you create a good database, don't mention the client name. Create a good database. Understand the remember on that. put some analytics so that others will get benefited. That case laws has to be, remember, has to come out. If the case laws are not developed, you can never stop it. Everybody will get what? Victimized. Today, we are telling that genome sequence has not given by China. Otherwise, the corona should not have spread like this. You might have heard about it. So the first victim has to come forward and proudly says, I got victimized. This was the reason why it has happened. Nothing wrong in that. If you don't come out, these problems will persist. That's what I would like to
He
say.
can be anonymous, but he should have come forward.
Create the database, sir. I'm telling you, one got victimized. Anybody can become victimized. Remaining 99 people will get benefited, right? Thank you very much.
Thank you,
So,
sir.
Thank you very much. And my colleague panelists, they have done an excellent job.